the issue with Lyme disease that it's really the only thing that's new with Lyme disease is that many of us have realized that pretty much all chronic illnesses are in one way or another way the outcome of chronic infections, or at least contributed to by chronic infections. Even 15 years ago, most of us thought that chronic illness is the outcome of toxicity, of environmental toxicity and everything related to that. But we got a little wiser and realized that the issues go far deeper. And what has been astounding to us, when we look at illnesses that are well established in the conventional medical field, like Parkinson or multiple sclerosis or chronic fatigue, they're all turning out to be primarily chronic infections with this particular expression of it. And right at the center of that is really the ongoing discovery of Lyme disease. And when I say Lyme disease, I like to use the new definition of the new Lyme disease. That means it's an illness transferred by insects. And please hear me here, but we're not calling it anymore tick-borne disease, because we know that mosquitoes can carry Lyme disease and many other serious infections. We know that spiders, fleas, mites can carry these illnesses. And so to limit it to tick-borne diseases, as it was until recently, has been too narrow a focus. And I like to take a big look at this whole thing. In modern genetics, when we break down our genome, we find entire long sequences in there that come out of the insect kingdom, that come out of the bacterial kingdom, out of the viral kingdom, that actually have become part of the human genome. What that basically means that we're in the process of discovering a new theory of evolution, that these chronic infections were always an attempt of evolution to mingle with our genes, to expand them, to change them, and once in a while something good comes off it. And I may have mentioned that already in my last interview with you, that impressive examples of that are some of the carriers of spirochetal illness in the past, starting with Nietzsche. Nietzsche was infected with syphilis, and in the course of the illness had one of the most creative philosophical outbursts ever happened to humanity. I could also mention Mozart. Mozart was treated with high doses of mercury in the late stage of his life because he had contracted syphilis and died of mercury poisoning. But during the course of his illness and during the course of the treatment of the illness, he created some of the most beautiful music ever. Beethoven lost his hearing from the mercury treatment for syphilis. These are just a few examples of people that had a well-known spirochetal illness, and this illness was clearly contributing to their enormous creativity and maybe even clairvoyance and breaching their perception into the other worlds, into the invisible world around us. And so I'm taking today a very, very different approach to Lyme disease. I look at it as there is nature mingling with our genes, trying to incorporate their genome into our genome, and with the possible outcome that something good may happen occasionally. Most of the time it goes wrong, but sometimes it goes well. So this is like a point I want to make up front, that I take this more evolutionary view of it. And then on the darker side of things, we do have some government documents that were leaked to us that shows in the 1960s and 70s and maybe into the 80s, there was some wild experimentation going on in U.S. military-linked government documents that showed that the U.S. government and other governments in the world were very well experimenting with recombining different microbes in order to create stealthy microbes that make large populations ill, so they lose their will to fight and to attack. And whether these things were ever used or so, we don't know. But we know there were experiments going on, and it is unfortunately increasingly likely that some forms of Lyme disease are actually a microbe that has some human elements in it. That means elements. It's likely that they are God-made creatures that evolved on their own, but that somebody helped along with it. I'm always puzzled when I go over to Europe how different patients with Lyme disease look there. I work half my life over there as a physician and half my life here. And the people in the US with chronic Lyme disease are far iller, have far less energy, and it just looks like there is a viral element in our Lyme disease that we see here that is not present in